So we've got later on in about a half hour, we've got Levita Sparks-Wade coming on. She's got a story to tell, and she was kind enough. She said, I want to tell it on your show. So she's going to come in a little bit later. We're going to hear her story and kind of hear about what's been going on in her life, hear her side of what you've read about in the papers and things like that. So it'll be interesting to hear from her in a little bit. But in the meantime, it's just us till 7:30. So if you got anything that you want to chime in on, 219-845-1100. We've been talking about, obviously, the ICE and National Guard and all this stuff going on in Chicago and Portland. We've been talking about the incident that took place in Indianapolis with former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez, where there was an allegation that originally it was that he was stabbed, and then later on the story came out that he basically got into a fight with an older gentleman because his truck was blocking an alley. They got into a fight. Sounds like alcohol was involved. They were both injured, and so Mark Sanchez was charged early yesterday morning for his role in a stabbing that left him seriously injured Saturday night in downtown. So he's basically in town to cover the Colts game yesterday and got into a fight with an older guy. Very, very strange story, and more will come out about that. In the meantime, let's take some calls. So good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Mr. Chuck. Can you hear me okay?
I can. How are you this morning?
Yeah. Is it okay if I make one teeny tiny song request from a movie?
Here's the problem. We're on YouTube now, so we don't get to play songs anymore.
Well, I heard that, but I wasn't sure if Tom DeFermit was kind of fibbing me. You know?
No, so if we play somebody else's music on YouTube, we'll get a strike, and we don't want that. So.
Yeah, but this I was telling Miss Andrina last Thursday. This song is more than 50 years old, so it should be, what is that word?
Public domain.
Public domain,
right?
Yeah, you played it last time with me when you were on, and Verley and Adriana. You played the you played the beginning of the song, but as soon as the words came out, then that was it. Can I tell the name of the song anyway?
Yeah, you can tell the name for sure, yeah.
Okay, it was that from the Errol Flynn movie, 1940, The Seahawk. Strike for the shores of Dover. You know, it goes, where we go when we don't know, strike for the shores of Dover, onto the sea, you and me, strike for the shores of Dover, here we go for home, sweet home. Then you hear cymbals in the background, then you hear the musical version of it. I'm reading the book, Earl Flynn and Me by his second wife, Nora Ellington. Cost me $22. I'm reading it for the second time, but it's almost falling apart on me.
Well, so if you read it twice, then you got your money's worth.
It's like a year younger than the book was printed in 1960. It's sort of came out the year after I was born. You sure you can't play that song?
What we can do is maybe at 8:30, maybe if we wrap up early, we can play it after we're off YouTube. So stick around. You got to listen to the whole show, and we'll see if we can get your request in at 8:30. How about that?
Yeah, the whole song, Strike for the Shores of Dover.
maybe we'll do that.
You still never saw that Earl Flynn movie, The Dark Adventure, that when it came on the other side of the pond to the U.S., it was titled The Warriors. That was Earl Flynn's last swashbuckler movie. You never saw that, right?
I don't think I've seen some of his movies. I've not seen that one, so I'm going to put that on my list.
That was a good one. I bought that VHS, and then I had to sing around for 8 months, and then when I put it on, the picture wasn't good. Then I finally got the regular DVD, but I was so disappointed the movie trailer was in it. Okay, well, anyway, Strike for the Shores of Dover, Earl Flynn, Seahawk, 1940. If it's possible, you could play that whole song, okay?
We're going to put it in, and we'll play it at 8:30 once we clear of being on YouTube. How about that?
Okay, I'll be listening. Okay, thanks again.
You take care.
Have a rest of a safe day. Remember, safety first. Bye.
Safety first. Thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead. We got another caller. Good morning, caller. You're in the air.
Yeah, hey, I got some breaking news. Disney is looking to reboot Snow White again and adding an eighth dwarf.
Okay.
Yes, and they're going to be cast calling here in Northwest Indiana, and they're looking for a dwarf, someone to play the new eighth dwarf, Gropey.
Okay.
Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody from Griffith or anything like, in that area?
Do I know somebody who could
would be perfect for that cast?
Cool.
Casting for Gropey,
who could allegedly be playing that role?
Well, I think he'd be perfect, allegedly or not. Okay,
so Disney is looking for a new dwarf, allegedly named Gropey.
Yeah.
So we'll have to open casting calls, but you probably shouldn't. I don't even want to go there, but.
Well, it's all allegedly.
It's all allegedly, yes. Allegedly, Gropey, the dwarf. So.
Yes. Have a lovely day.
Thank you for that. Thank you for keeping it clean. I wasn't sure where we're going with that. So, if what's that term the kids say? If you know, you know. We'll just leave it at that. Do you have any other calls? We got one more call. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I've been good. How have you been?
Wonderful. And I'm not like on X and Facebook and all this stuff.
Good for you. It's good for your mental health. Stay clear of all that.
Thank you. And I don't really use those phones either. I have a flip phone that one of my elder coworkers gave me, and I don't even know the phone number, but it's for emergencies. No TV here either for probably 15 years now.
You're probably the
three times a year.
Probably the healthiest listener I have.
Keeps the brain good. But I do go and research and listen to different podcasts and news things on the internet. And, wow, someone took over as number one news provider, and they took over X. X was number one, they say. And, again, I'm not high-tech. I'm not sure how all this works with these apps. But I think it's the Alex Jones Network is number one news source in the world.
See, I thought you were going to say it was TikTok.
Oh, please. I don't do that either.
Because every time I talk to these kids, I remember when DJ Matt was in the producer booth, every time I'd mention something in the news, he'd say, I was on TikTok and I saw this story. I go, let me stop you right there, Matt. Because we're getting your news from TikTok. But
they had some headline somewhere. I saw that. So there you go.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, there's so much.
There's a lot of news going on, huh?
Right. I mean, even this
people are onto it's the highest one now.
Well, even like this story about CNN is what were they doing? They were going to a streaming platform. So CNN will soon leave HBO Max. So when the evolution of things is people used to have cable, you'd watch CNN, Fox News, whatever, and then people went to streaming services. So people like CNN realized, hey, if we're going to stick around, we got to move to the streaming platform. So CNN apparently was on HBO Max, and now they're going to be cutting ties with HBO Max to have their own streaming platform. But again, the numbers for cable news have just been abysmal lately. CNN's numbers are way down. I mean, again, just people are just tuning out of cable news, and I think it's just
stream is dead.
Well, and so I think it's just a lot of that. We spent so many years just being hammered with these stories, and it was always breaking news. We've got news alerts, and I mean, it was really just, it was messing with people's minds. It was, you sit there and watch the news, and there's all these alerts coming across the screen. Your blood pressure would go up, and during COVID, we had death counts and all these things, and I think people just got burned out. I mean, it's, you basically said, look, like you said, we just
it's
cut
lies,
it out.
And the greatest sin I've always said, and even on these airwaves of the media, is omission.
Right.
Or you do get some hosts who do the block and bridge, tactic of media where someone asks a question and, boy, I don't think my guest is going to like this question here. And then they kind of twist things around and let's do this or, I mean, the media does not want the truth on their airwaves, the mainstream.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to the idea of the media does not trust you to come to conclusions. So, that's one of the goals is always just, here's the story as we know it. And again, I'm sitting here in the region. I can't tell you like what happened in Indianapolis or what's happening in Chicago. I rely on other people. And thanks to, social media, we get to see video of what happened. We can make our own decisions. But a lot of what's happening is essentially, instead of saying, here's what happened, you get to decide your opinion. We're going to tell you our opinion first. And then if you read the whole story, if you stick around long enough, we'll tell you the details at the very end.
Yes. You're correct. And most people, Chuck, they cannot read,
the majority of people,
say 500 words or something. They stop after a couple paragraphs.
Right. The majority of people don't read beyond the headline or the first paragraph. So again, if you're only going to read that first paragraph, what do I want to do? I want to give you my opinion. I want to tell you what I want you to think in that first paragraph in that headline, and then the rest will be, forgotten about.
I like the facts. I like people who bring the receipts,
Well, and that's the thing. It's always difficult. One of the things I've always said is, far too often, one of my criticisms when I talk to people in media, I said, if you're going to talk about, if you're going to say this person said this, give me that clip. If you're going to talk about a study, give me the study. There's always things a new study says this, a new study said that. Well, where's the study? Because I want to read it for myself. I'm a smart enough person. I can read your study and decide if I come to the same conclusion you do. But far too often it is, hey, here's a study. We're not going to show you the study. We're just going to tell you, take our word for it. Here's what the study says, right? So far too often, that's what we see in the media. So, but that's why, here on Summer of Chuck, here on Monday, we try to at least just give you, here's what's going on, here's what we know, and you get to make the decisions. So,
yeah, you do a great job
there. Thank you. That's all I can do, right?
You have a wonderful day.
Hey, you too. Thank you for
calling. I'm heading out here, but I thought I'd squeeze that in. So, actually, X has taken over for number one news source.
Well, it's interesting.
I was amazed. I didn't think anyone would beat X.
Yeah, well, and that's an interesting thing. I'm gonna have to look into that. We'll talk about that maybe next week a little bit.
Awesome.
But it is interesting. I mean, even Lena, I don't know. How do you feel like you get your news these days? Do you? I mean, I
search for my own.
Okay. Well, hey,
I do not turn Fox or CNN or any of this. I haven't for years. It's all bought and paid for, and I think even, all these shows, night shows, they're all given talking points by this one or that side or this side, I don't like that, Right. I'd rather watch someone who brings receipts or several different options for that, and then check the receipts too, right?
Right, absolutely. So, hey, appreciate the call.
You take care. Have a great week, Doc.
Okay, so Lena, same question to you. What are your thoughts? I mean, as far as how are young people consuming the news in your mind?
Well, the way I get my news, I get it two ways. It's either the Google mobile app with the cards that it shows in the beginning, or you're going to be mad at this TikTok. Yeah.
There's nothing, so this becomes that interesting discussion. There's nothing wrong with getting your news from TikTok, but then there's all these discussions about, TikTok and China and who's going to control TikTok. I think there was... who is it we're talking about now? Is it Oracle? It is supposed to be running TikTok at some point. I'm trying to see. Let me see the latest. Is it Larry Ellison? I think it was. So again, even the idea of who controls. Have you ever heard much about algorithms and things like that? The idea of. So here, let me pull this up real quick. So we're talking about TikTok. So the new U.S. TikTok owner funded Tony Blair and ensured Marco Rubio's loyalty to Israel. That comes right off Reuters. I mean, the very first thing we find is they talk about the TikTok owner, so basically talking about Larry Ellison's ties to Israel and all these things. And so that becomes this idea is when you have social media, you have these algorithms, and they can basically push you in certain directions. They can make sure that you see certain kinds of stories. They can make sure that you see stuff that you agree with, or they can make you see stuff that you don't agree with. And so it's interesting even seeing my friends on social media say, well, why am I seeing all these posts from this or that? It's like, and it's, people get into this habit of, I see a certain kind of news. I see a certain slant on my news. And then for some reason, the algorithm changes. I go, why am I seeing all this all of a sudden? It's like, well, the algorithm changed and now you're seeing that. But so that becomes an interesting question about when you're consuming news like on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, is what is the algorithm feeding you, right? I mean, and that's, or even the idea, sometimes I tell people, let's trade phones and let's see what my algorithm feeds me compared. So like, here's like, let's Google a story. I mean, it's interesting. You can someday when you're with your friends, like have them Google the story and you Google it and see your search results will be different from theirs. And again, it's all about the algorithm. So that becomes an interesting question when you talk about social media is who's controlling the algorithm and who is, because again, you don't have all day. Like if you're looking for a story, pick the story about ice or whatever, you're going to Google it. You may read the first couple stories. So the question is who's deciding what those first couple, nobody goes past the first page of Google, right? That's why I used to joke with people. I said, if you want to know the truth, Google something and go like 5 pages in, and then you'll start getting, like we're just talking about studies. Like when you're looking for studies on things, go 5 pages in and you'll start finding the actual study instead of the stories of people telling you what the story said, the story is. So why don't we do this? So Levita Sparks Wade is here. Why don't we take our break? We'll reset. We'll bring her in the studio, and we'll talk to her and hear her story. So let's do that. We'll be back with more Summer of Chuck 2, the Electric Boogaloo here on WJOB.